How you doing, Chad?
Hey, Dustin. Good to see you.
You too, man.
Thanks.
I've said Coach Allen about this a lot, but what did you see change first half to second half? I guess what were the things that you guys sort of made a point to do to make sure that there was more help for the secondary to prevent the big play?
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes back to being brilliant at the basics. Right, we've talked about that before. Be brilliant at the basics. Go back to your core. Go back to your fundamentals. Get yourself settled in. And we had some schematic tweaks and adjustments, but it wasn't like major, just like throw the baby out with the bathwater and start fresh. Like the game plan's the game plan. We got to go execute. And guys settled down. They went back to being brilliant at the basics. And got their eyes right, got their feet right, then. And that's on us as coaches to help them start faster. Like, okay, this is what you might see. These are the things you might be getting at. But it really wasn't a huge schematic. Again, we had some tweaks and some adjustments. We do that every week. Dustin. But it was really more of just let's get back to being brilliant at the basics, and got shocking guys play better.
Forgive me if this feels at all loaded because there were a couple one-on-one shots that they hit Saturday. But what is sort of the tolerance level within this defense for wanting to put guys in one-on-one situations, sometimes recognizing that can be a little bit all or nothing, but that it also allows you to really shift resources maybe to stopping something else. And I recognize that's also matchups a little bit too.
Yeah, sure. Like sometimes as you look at it schematically, I mean, quarters coverage can also be man coverage. And that's, a little bit what we got into. Well, while you're in quarters coverage, well, they're in 12 personnel and you're loading the box to go stop the run. Get safeties involved in the run game, kind of your point, and then sometimes now your corners are out there on an island a little bit, and then sometimes, hey, you're blitzing, to go stop the run and they're out there on an island also, the good news about the blitzing is you have pressure behind it, right? Sometimes you're in quarters coverage, they go play action, and they're sitting there, 7-8-man protections against 4-man rushes with man coverage. A little bit tougher, a little bit harder, but and that's all you're really trying to do is, okay, what do we need to call to stop? I used to work for a guy, and he would say, be happy when what you called stops what you called it to stop, right? And and sometimes, hey, they find the right call against the right coverage, against the right blitz, against the right check, against the right adjustment. That's the cat and mouse split game you always play. But I think really, that's for us is how can we change? How can we, be unpredictable, right? Like you don't want to just get caught in ruts, and we're certainly not doing that as we do our self-scouts every week of what are you calling on first down, what are you calling on second down, right? What's working well, what's not working well. I mean, we're going through that. We do that every Sunday. We go through our self-scouts of what are we calling, when are we calling them to make sure we're not in those. And we even do that in the game. We have a process in the game up in the press box of what are we calling every 1st and 10? What are we calling every P and 10 that we go through in between series to make sure that we're not being predictable. So I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, Zach, but so, yeah. Yeah.
Coach, I'm curious about Lance Bryant. I guess just how would you describe him, and is there any moments that kind of stick out to you that speak to who he is?
Yeah, Lance has done a great job of just continuing to work and continuing to develop. Again, I haven't been here through his career, right? But just as I hear the other guys on staff talking about how he has continued to progress every year. Right, and I think that goes back, the old Bruce Lee quote, if you're not the man that has practiced 10,000 kicks one time, he's practiced one kick 10,000 times. And I think you see that with Lance. He just keeps practicing and doing the same things over and over and over. And shockingly, what happens? You get better at being brilliant at the basics, like going back and do those things over and over and over, and you see development and progress. And, I think that's what you're really finding in Lance right now.
Coach, it seems like with your guys' linebacker core, you guys have a different guy stepping up each week and making big plays in critical moments, whether it's a guy like Cam Jones or Aaron Case or even your edge rushers like McCullough and Bradley Jennings. What is it about that group and their mentality that kind of just allows them to step up and make those plays in those situations?
Sure. being an old defensive line coach myself, sometimes, D linemen, they got to take on the double teams. Welcome to the life of being a nose guard, and that's certainly no different in this defense. Sometimes those guys have to eat blocks so that other people can make plays. But I think what we'll really continue to stress and emphasize with all of our guys, regardless of the position, the play doesn't care who makes the play. Just make the play when it's your turn to make it. Nobody's got to stress. Nobody's got to push. Nobody's got to try to overcompensate. Right? We talked about, last week, 2 weeks ago, about trust. Right? And I think that we're seeing that continue to grow, seeing that continue to develop, guys trusting the system, guys trusting each other, that when it's Miles Jackson's turn to make the play, make the play. When it's Aaron Casey, when it's your turn to make the play, make the play. Just go back. Be brilliant at the basics. What's your job within the scheme, within the system? Trust the scheme, trust the system, trust your teammates, that everybody's going to do their job collectively together. And when we can have that consistent execution of the fundamentals, of the details within the scheme, just make the play. And some guys are making some plays.
I know you weren't here last year, but Matt Holt was a guy that even as kind of a freshman walk-on flashed a little bit last fall, and it seems like he's even more involved this year. We saw a lot of him, I imagine, somewhat personnel-driven, as you talked about Cincinnati running the football.
Sure.
But just how have you seen him as a second-year player and as a non-scholarship player really kind of come along to being somebody that you could build maybe some specific packages, for lack of a better term, that are geared toward getting him in there?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story. So the first February morning workout we had when I got here, I'm learning who guys are and who literally learning faces and learning names. And Coach Allen's kind of walking me around and starting to learn these guys on defense. And he points out Matt Holt. And he says about Matt Holt, that kid is going to be a really good football player here. Like Coach Allen knew from what you had seen in the past and even in the fall, last fall. So we had already identified that this is a young man that is a good football player. Obviously, Indiana matters to him, legacy, family. His dad playing here also, but comes from a great program, Center Grove, right up the street. Who Coach Moore does a great job of teaching football up there. It's just. He's got the background, he's got the expertise, he's got he's a very smart football player. He cares a lot. He talked about the toughness and the physicality, being able to go in. I mean, he had a couple of really nice plays down there on that first drive when we kind of put our backs against the wall after the turnover and went in and got the stop on the field goal. So Matt's just continues to just show up and be who he is, tough, competitive. He got dinged up a little bit, boom, he was right back out. So it just really, talking about trust earlier, the young man, we've got a lot of trust and faith and confidence in because he has the right process.
All right, last one. Chad, over here. With McCullough, what you're seeing from him, and in fact, he didn't play quite as much, this past week.
Yeah, there was some stuff there. We'll keep that a little bit in-house. Nothing that Deshaun did or did not do, but there was some stuff that kind of prevented him from having the week that he wanted to have, practice-wise. But he's back. He's full strength. He's ready to go. When Matt did go down, it was stuff. As a young player, we've talked about Deshaun. Still those reps and needing to practice to make sure, and he just was a little limited in practice. Again, he's back, he's full speed, he's full strength, he's ready to go. So we expect him to show up down in Lincoln and be ready to go get after it. Yeah.
Coach, this is a bigger picture question, but I mean, even just standing up here and talking, it's obvious that you have passion for what you do. Where did that come from?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. Son of a coach. Saw my dad do this for a long time. Played for my dad in college. So I got the side of it watching him, as a young man, as a child growing up, being around his players, and the experiences, riding on the buses to the away games, sitting there with my dad and going in the back of the bus, and my idols, I mean, they just beat up on me sometimes, but I loved it. And then like I said, I got to play for my dad, and I got to really realize and understand what my dad was doing. And, someday they're going to put us all 6 feet under in this earth. And one day when they bury me, I want 2 things to be said at my funeral. I'm really sad that he's gone, but I'm really glad that he was here. And we all got to face that. We all got to go through that. And the way that I have decided to have people say that is through the impact and influence that you get here in coaching and working with these young men and helping them reach their goals, helping them achieve their goals, maybe helping them to change their goals, to change the dreams, the visions they have for their life, or where they thought they could be, but now where they can go for their lives. Last night I texted Nate Ollie, defensive line coach up for the Colts. Colts got a win yesterday. Nate, played for me at Ball State, so I got a chance to just text him, hey man, that's awesome, so happy for you guys. And we had a response back and forth a little bit, but you see young men living out their dreams, living out their vision, the goals for their lives, and helping them and helping be a part of that. How can you not be passionate about that? So, I don't know. Hopefully that answers it. And we can go way, that's a 40-minute conversation possibly someday. So, appreciate it, guys.